All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to This Pink Cloud. I am DJ Kelly Reverb. We are a show that is about multiple pathways to recovery. Right now, I have Croissant LeMans muted and
I just unmuted myself because I am the master of the mute button.
Nice. But yeah, it's been a while since you've been on, and we've moved the podcast to the interwebs.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm currently browsing just through the Matrix and stuff. It's pretty cool.
You're currently at the library.
Yeah, I'm just hanging out here at the local library. Well,
they have internet.
Actually, out here they call it a book shelter. It's where all the homeless books go.
Right. Okay. Is that right?
It used to be called a library. Yeah.
All right. Well, so how have you been, Chad? All of the people that have been watching haven't been asking about you at all. So, but how you been, buddy?
It's okay. I sometimes I get asked about, sometimes I don't get asked about. Either way, it doesn't really affect my day too much because I've been listening to a lot of Madonna. I've been doing a lot of meditating. I've been doing a lot of stuff, maybe a bunch of candles sometimes too. I've had a good time.
Okay, and the good thing about this is we can edit all that out. So.
Sure, you can edit, but you don't like to edit, so this will remain in place.
Right. And you haven't made fun of my little Mexico hat, Chad?
Well, it just says im. It says nothing about that. It says Mexico to me.
It is for Madonna.
That's im is for Madonna.
Anyway, okay, so we've alienated our guest long enough. Oh yeah, be sure subscribe, like all that good stuff to the podcast. But anyway, I'm excited to have this young lady on, and now it is possible because we are doing the internet-based version. But everybody, give it up for Alexis Royal. Yay! I like it. They have to have built-in effects or something on here. I don't know. I'll look into that or not. Anyway, but so you're actually in Austin, right?
I am.
Nice. Okay, and then you are actually in recovery yourself, and you actually work in recovery as well.
Oh yeah, just surrounded by it.
So I have the correct person then.
Yes, I believe.
Okay.
I mean, there's not too many Alexis Royals, so I would be surprised if there's another Alexis Royal in
That's
Austin.
true.
Hey, Jamie, pull up if there's any royalty that named Alexis.
There's a hotel called the Alexis Royal, which is pretty cool. I've never stayed at it, but it's in Seattle.
There's a country named Chad. Hell yeah.
All right.
We're in there.
Now that we've got
There's nothing named Kelly.
Well, I'm okay with that. I am okay with that. Yeah, there's like some disease named Kelly. Anyway, but so I guess tell us your backstory. How the wheels fell off, and I know you were saying that 12 years is coming up, correct?
Yeah.
So that is another.
16th.
Yeah,
I'll have 12 years. It's crazy.
So let's hear the backstory.
Yeah. Well, I feel like in order to understand my story and me, like you have to understand my family, right? Because we all have that like crazy family dynamics. I was actually born and raised in Austin, Texas. I'm a hometown girl. I haven't gone very far. Went to Dallas a couple times to get sober and go to state-funded treatment facility. But other than that, I've spent the majority of my life in Austin.
Right.
I was born in a house with a midwife. So my mom she was a black belt in karate and Tukang Musul. She raced motocross. She was super holistic.
Wow.
Didn't do like the whole, I'm going to have my kid in a hospital. So
yeah, that sounds like an alternate beginning.
Like a very Austin thing to do, right?
Yeah, right. But she was like karate, and you said,
oh yeah, she was the
motocross?
first black belt woman in the world in Tukang Musul.
Wow.
And it was a big thing because they didn't advance women to black belts at that time. So it was very controversial.
I know Chad's just biting his tongue over there.
What, dude? What?
So, I know you're thinking something misogynistic, dude.
Why would I think that, dude? The Civil Rights Act was passed for a reason.
Anyway.
But yeah,
But that's cool. I mean,
Yeah.
your mom's the first black belt in a certain
Yeah,
what was that brand again?
whatever those words were.
Tukang Musil.
What? Give it to me again.
Tukang Musil.
Okay. All right.
Mhm.
And then but then she was also in motocross.
Yeah, she grew up racing motocross. My grandpa owned a Suzuki dealership down in Killeen. Both my parents come
Wow.
from a military family.
Okay. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
can't just breeze over that.
No, no.
That's good stuff.
And then my grandpa on my dad's side, he owned a used army supply store, and he would refurbish old army supplies. So my little brother and I'd be running around in like Desert Storm outfits, and he'd pay us to put together grenades, and it's kind
Nice.
of a wild dynamic.
Yeah, no, that's cool. So then you did drugs.
Yeah, and then I just went straight to drugs. I mean, clearly,
Right.
how can I not? Look at my parents. I'm straight.
Right, right.
Um,
It's all their fault, by the way.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I tried to blame them for many years, but then
Sure.
I learned that it wasn't all their fault.
Right. Well, Chad did that with little Sheila, Right, Chad?
Who's little
It's-
Sheila?
Little
his mom.
Little Sheila is my mother, and it's still, 98 to 99% her fault.
We love little Sheila.
Yeah.
But anyway, so
I feel like I need to meet little Sheila.
you do,
Yeah.
actually.
Tiny, is that why we
Everybody.
call her little Sheila?
She's got a rap album coming out.
No, her name is Sheila, but she's a shorter stature, so Chad gave her the rap name of Little
I
Sheila.
love
Yeah.
that.
So there we have that. So, but anyway, so in and out of rehab, like when did that start? Like what year was that for you? I mean, 12 years ago, so we're talking,
Oh,
what,
boy.
2010-ish is when the party was going on?
Well, I mean, there was definitely no. I graduated '07.
Okay.
So the party was definitely happening before then.
Okay.
I would say like my freshman year of high school is when I started kind of dabbling in alcohol and other substances, and it started getting really bad like towards the end of my freshman year and on through my high school. And ended up going to outpatient at La Hacienda, the adolescent program, my
La
senior
Ha.
year.
Shout
La
out.
Hacienda, back when they had an adolescent program in North.
And
Austin.
that's the one that's fancy, right? Like the high end recovery, right?
I mean, yeah, I think that they have. I mean, they're a huge staple in the community. It's not
Right.
like the fancy
I just thought
but they
Laha
have-
was the bougie
No,
one.
it's decent. It's not
Yeah.
past just Malibu by any means, but it's good.
Uh-huh.
Well, there we go.
Yeah, solid program. My counselor was this guy named Bob. He was awesome. He was like an old hippie and lived on a hippie commune, and was tripping acid one day and got into an argument with the author of the book he was reading, that there was life after death, and shot himself in the stomach with with some gun to
Okay.
prove that there was life after death. And he had this like huge, I don't even know, thing in his stomach that he would push in and out. He was just wild, but I absolutely
Yeah,
loved him.
slightly.
And that was like my first introduction to recovery.
So, did Bob, I guess, had done that prior to counseling you?
Oh, I mean,
Yeah.
I think so yeah.
No, he did it in the middle of a session.
No, but he did it like afterwards, and you found out about it, or I didn't know where Bob was in his lifeline.
Oh, that was pre-sobriety, Bob, for sure.
And so, so that just gave him that much more street cred. Where you go, okay,
Oh.
cool. This guy knows his shit, dude. I'm in, dude. Bob, you got me.
Yeah, Bob was on another level.
But that's cool. So, all right. So you were like partying in high school, and then how did that like get to an excessive level? I guess. How did that escalate?
It was always at an excessive level for me.
Oh, you started off just a strong user out of the gate.
I mean, the first time I drank, I mean, it was like a unworldly experience. I mean, it was just like out of this world. You know what I mean? Like my whole life, I put so much pressure on myself. I found a lot of value and self-worth in achieving, and just very goal-oriented, and just like I said, just put so much pressure on myself. And the moment I drank, it's like all that pressure just alleviated. It was like the pressure valve released, you know?
Right,
And
right.
I could just live my life and be in the present moment, and not be just pounding the pavement to
Right.
kind of fulfill like this, like where they talk about like the void inside that like I
Right.
didn't even know I was trying to fill with outside.
Sure. Wouldn't that be ironic if I just cracked a beer now?
Yeah.
Well, tell me more about that. but yeah. So okay. So then it go. How long did the situation go on for, or somewhat successfully navigating, use before or who identified it as a problem, and then, or when did it become a problem? Was it like a DUI or anything like that?
I mean, I think it was first identified from my mom early on.
Okay.
I was like one of those kids. I could not wait to be independent. Like I wanted to drive. I wanted to get a job. I just wanted to just grow up way too fast. And the first time she noticed there was a problem is I was really excited about my first job. I was going to be a hostess at this place called 34th Street Cafe in Austin.
Okay.
And that day I had ended up skipping class and going and like taking 9 shots of vodka with my friend.
Because you had to get ready for your shift.
At work in a complete blackout. And that was like my first day on the job that I was so excited about, And my mom was like,
so much fun.
Yeah, she's been talking about this job for so long, and just like the complete inability to control the way I drank, regardless of, what was coming up in my life that was extremely important. That was kind of like the first, I think, time my family noticed. I would say I was like personally in denial for a long time.
Right.
Like a few months sober after going to the IOP at La Hacienda, and still kind of just in denial. But like, it was very clear to me that I drank differently than my friends, but I also put myself around people that drank similarly to me. And it's high school, so it's hard to sometimes tell the difference.
Who's got it under control and who doesn't?
Yeah, exactly. Until life goes on.
Lines are blurred. Right. No, I get it.
Yeah, but after high school, I like immediately moved out, got my own place, started working on 6th Street as a cocktail waitress, and yeah, my alcoholism just progressed from there, and then eventually turned into like a savage meth addiction.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, so how does that go?
That's
Like, I mean, obviously, okay. So I always say that I did the drinker's companion of cocaine, because you do cocaine so you can drink more, so you can do more cocaine, so you can drink more. Was it kind of
more cocaine?
Right. Exactly. But so how did it get to meth? Was the cocaine out of somebody was out one night, or how did that happen?
Well, no, I can like completely relate to your story. I always loved uppers, so I definitely have like the cocaine alcohol duo pretty much my entire using career. Those were like, I would say, my 2 go-tos.
Your 2 staples. But
besides ecstasy, I mean, I was just a party girl, I like to have a good time. So,
well, no, because I say like I got the memo on meth, on crystal meth, and then I also got the memo on heroin, which Chad got, but totally crumpled it up and
I just
threw
read
it
it.
away.
I just read it differently. I just read it totally differently than you did. You know what I mean?
Right. I gotcha. But so meth, did just somebody have it around and you were like, hey, I'm in?
I mean, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. The group that I was hanging out with, it was they were probably, I don't know, like 8 years older than me.
Right.
And one person brought meth into the group, and it was like spread like wildfire.
Well, let's call that person out. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't even know if I remember their name.
All right. He was friends with my psychologist, Bob, that shot himself in the stomach.
It's a wild group of people in recovery.
Yeah, I love it.
Too.
But so like crystal method and like crystal meth. So how long did you navigate that for?
Well, yeah, there's no navigating.
There was no navigating.
It navigates you.
Yeah, I went to automatically taking my VCR apart and then shadow people, and I was there.
Oh my God, I would spend hours all day long hiding my bag of dope around. I like put it in the washing machine and like put a bunch of clothes over it, and then I
Yeah.
like, the police are coming, they're gonna know it's here. So then I put it in the dishwasher and then put like a bunch of stuff on it and then hide it. I mean, I would just hide it like all just spend
That's
hours.
hilarious.
I know,
That
way
is
too long.
hilarious that you would, because I guess, well, Brian Cuban, we've had him on the show, Mark Cuban's brother. We've had him on the show about how he would take and build these special spaces for his cocaine, like behind wall sockets. He would build a false wall socket so he could stash his cocaine there. So I'm imagining you doing this. And then, I mean, you had to have misplaced the bag numerous times.
No, I wasn't one of those that ever lost
No?
my dope.
Oh, okay.
I know.
All right.
I knew exactly where it was because I didn't go very long without doing it. So
Yeah.
Right. But that would be hilarious if you just constantly hit it and lost it from yourself. That would be a good movie, actually. Chad, write that down.
would it though? Would it be a good movie?
Well, it would be at least a good short.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll go pitch that to the executives. Hey, so we got this idea for a movie where this guy just keeps hiding dope and then keeps losing it once it's hidden. We'll be like, oh, that's genius. Why didn't we think of that?
Yeah, there we go.
Who'd you say wrote that? Kelly Reverb?
That's right.
God doesn't even have a country named after him.
Oh Lord. Anyway, so so what year, like as far as like Laha goes, and then what year did it stick for you? The recovery.
Laha was 2007, my
Mm-hmm.
senior year, and then I went to this place called Summer Sky that isn't around anymore.
Okay, holler. I went there.
Did you really?
Bye. 2020.
Hey.
Class of 2020.
2020?
Yeah, Stephenville, Texas.
Yeah,
Holler.
Stephenville, Texas. I think it closed down right after you must have left.
It did. I closed it down.
Yeah, I figured.
I know, yeah. It closed down about a year afterwards because honestly, what's funny is they were the sponsor of this podcast in the beginning.
Really?
Yeah. So Scott Kelly. Love Scott Kelly. He's a good dude.
That's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
I got banned from talking to all the boys there.
Did you? Oh, no. Okay.
I was such a victim too. I was like, anyways.
It's their fault.
Yeah.
Right? Well, I mean, it is what it is. But
It's just rehab, dude. It's just rehab
right.
romances.
You're supposed to try to hook up, right?
Yeah.
I mean, recovery.
Who wants sobriety when you go to rehab? When you could just
Right.
get a wife? You know what I mean?
Exactly. Oh, dude, I have the greatest, dude. Like, so at Summer Sky, the guy that co-hosted this show to begin with had a romance while he was in the course of getting divorced. It was quite the drama going on in Stephenville, but it was good. The thing I did like about Stephenville is it was like not super bougie, so
At all.
I wanted to get the fuck out of there. It was just like just the right amount of discomfort and grossness to make you want you
take us to
appreciate.
They will take us to the bowling alley. Did they take you guys to the bowling alley?
No, we did it was during COVID, so I did
Wow.
we did the escape room. That was fun. Yeah. And so much for the equestrian thing. Oh, we did do goat yoga, actually. We had that going on. That was awkward to see goats wearing diapers.
I was about to say, hey, y'all boys ready to get shit on by some goats?
Right? Well, it was like the girl was kind of hot, so all the guys are just standing back going, well, this is fun. And then some of the girls are actually doing the yoga. So it was interesting. It was definitely interesting. But so Stephenville, so how many times did you end up going to rehab before it?
Stephenville was 2009. And
Okay.
then 2010, I was sent by the courts to Nexus, which is state funded in Dat. Well, you guys know it.
Yeah, no, I know people that have been. Well, we both know people that have been. But yeah.
Funny story. My judge was I had known her since I was a kid. My mom's been in local and state politics for years.
Okay.
I knew the judge growing up, and my mom actually called and turned me in and told her
Nice.
and told her to arrest me because I would pop dirty for meth, because she was just like scared for my life at that point and was
Well, yeah.
to try to save me. And yeah, she called my judge and was like, "You guys need to do a
She told on you. Yeah. No, that's
yeah,
good.
my probation officer came knocking at the door I was staying at and made me go down to
Right.
the facility in UA, and then I got a recording, I think Sunday night, to show up in court Monday, and they arrested me in court Monday.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I mean, that's kind of what happened with Chad as well. I mean, he was going to
My parents set up a sting on me when I went to a treatment center.
yeah, tell it.
First time I ever got arrested.
It was at in McKinney at
Grace to Change.
Grace to Change. Shout out Grace to Change.
Yeah, shout out to all these people.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I've been through the whole little Sheila system.
But yeah, so they had you arrested at Grace.
They tried to save my life. Yeah.
Yeah, and it worked.
Yeah. Well,
Right?
it caused. It was a turning point in the arch downfall.
Right.
That I started taking, and then it eventually absolutely worked, but at the moment, no, I was just infuriated. Infuriated.
What is
You want to
wrong
arrest
with
me?
That is preposterous.
I will never talk to you again.
Unless you have dope, and then we're good. But yeah, that's crazy. So your mom calls on you, and then did you ever have to do any time on the inside?
I did a
Like
month.
our friend Chad.
Just a month.
Just a month? Okay.
Yeah, I did a
All right.
month at Del Valley.
All
And
right.
was released to my mom's custody for one night, and it was Halloween night.
Oh, no.
And I escaped from her house and
Right.
had this guy I was talking to come pick me up, and I was dressed as a jailbird and went and partied on 6th Street.
There you go.
So she called me, and she was like dating this, he was like head of SWAT of Austin at the time.
Okay.
She basically threatened that he was going to come get me, and so instead she sent my little brother, my poor little brother. I mean, he's just been through it with me.
Oh,
She
right.
sent my little brother to come pick me up from downtown and just get my butt home.
He's
to
the
take me
errand.
back.
He's the errand boy. Go pick your sister up again. God damn it.
He saved me so many times. I feel good.
Well, let's shout out your brother. Let's just
Yeah.
celebrate him.
He's amazing. He's
Yeah.
like the opposite of
What's
me.
his name?
His name's Mason.
Mason.
Royal.
Shout out
He's a
Mason.
Shout out
firefighter.
Mason.
Yeah. Good looking out. Good
He's a
looking out.
firefighter at Travis County.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Sorry, Lake Travis.
There you
Okay.
go.
Cool. All right.
It's what you want. It's what I need. It's a feeling.
Music is not about itself. Music is about balance.
All right. And that
right.
was our new that was our new song,
Hey,
Chad. Did
hey,
you like that?
we got some. There's some new songs. There's some music with some new songs on it. There's some new songs on we got on our music stuff. If you
There
want to
we
go
go.
check out our music stuff, it's on Spotify and Apple and everything else.
Dude, you look like Mrs. Claus.
Yeah.
With the glasses, the Jeffrey Dahmer. It's definitely Kris Kringle going on because you're sunburned and everything, dude.
I seen your dance moves from across the way.
You're gonna have to watch the videotape first, and then you.
I
can
told you
leave.
you can watch you watch this videotape and then you can leave.
That is Chad's Jeffrey Dahmer. Everybody.
All right.
Yeah, good
yeah,
job.
I am gonna have to go.
Okay, bud. Good to see you.
All right.
All right, later.
Bye, Chad.
Bye.
But so okay, so back to you. Sorry for the awkwardness, but it is what it is. So,
I knew that
so
was going to happen when I met you guys pre-recorded.
right, that it was just going to be craziness,
It was a
and
train wreck, it's
we were
fine.
just going to ramble and and just totally alienate the guest. And so they're like, "What the hell? What's wrong with these guys?" But okay, so anyway, so back to like, I mean, as far as you went to obviously rehab several times, but then what was it that, actually stuck? And I think, we were mentioning the 12 steps. So tell us the recovery part of your story.
Yeah. So, I ended up going to 3 different treatment facilities. It didn't stick any of those times. But what it did is it showed me that there is a way out. And I think knowing that there's a solution, and when I was ready, I could grasp it, that was huge for me, because up until then, I didn't know there was one. I just knew that I couldn't stop drinking and drugging.
Right.
So what the actual turning point for me was, it was kind of a process, right? But the piece that I always mention is I was dating a guy in the rooms. I was not sober, and he was. He
Right.
was 2 years sober, and I had walked past he's actually my son's father. We were together for 6 years.
Okay.
I walked past.
Is it one of
his
those
room.
kids in the background?
This was this
That
little
one?
guy, but he's not that little anymore. He's 8 now.
Ah,
So that's my niece. That's Asher, and yeah.
Okay.
It's all
All right.
Asher, pretty much.
gotcha.
But yeah, I walked past his room and the door was cracked, and I saw him meditating, and there was just this like peace about him that I knew I was never gonna be able to obtain, no matter how hard I tried, if I didn't get sober. And that was like really the deep seed that was kind of planted inside of me. But at that moment, like I wasn't ready to change yet. And I had kind of convinced him, because at this point in my addiction, so after I went to jail and then I went to Nexus, I never went back to meth. So I was
Right.
just kind of like a weekend warrior, like drinking really hard on the weekends,
Sure.
dabbling in cocaine and ecstasy, but like trying to manage.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and what they say is a lot of people trade addictions.
Uh-huh.
So I quit doing heroin, but I became a raging alcoholic, that kind of thing. So it's just like, I still don't want to deal with life sober.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That. And I wanted to deal with life sober. I just didn't know how. I was just so uncomfortable in my own skin. But yeah, he had this overwhelming sense of peace, and that was like the deep seed that needed to be planted. And then later on in the relationship, he was like a bad IV methamphetamine addict. So when he saw me and my addiction, when I was just using on the weekends, it looked very different than the end of his using career.
Right.
So
Sure.
I think
Well.
I was able to kind of like manipulate the situation a little bit until sooner or later, at the time I was dancing for the Austin Spurs. I was in school full time for nursing.
Yeah, you've been a cheerleader type as well for a while.
Yeah, I danced for the Austin Spurs, which is a D League to the San Antonio Spurs, for 2 seasons.
Okay.
When I was 22 and 24.
Right. Okay.
So it was like trying to manage life. Oh,
Yeah.
so like in comparison to the end of his addiction, I was able to kind of manipulate it in a way that looked to him like maybe I was a normal drinker, maybe a hard drinker.
Right.
But there at the end, when I was like in between semesters in nursing school, my dance team came to an end, all these things that kind of held me accountable and kind of held me together, they went away. And so I had all this free time. And so I started drinking more. I was like drinking and doing cocaine at like 10 a.m. on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
And he caught me, and he was like, this is like, I got sober to
That's
get
not
the
normal, by the way.
Yeah, not normal.
That's
I
not
learned
socially
that.
acceptable.
Crazy. And he just told me, he's like, I got sober to get the chaos out of my life, and you're bringing it back in. He kind of gave me an ultimatum, and I broke down and I was like, I don't know if I want to be sober, but I know I can't keep living this way. And he took me to a 1030 Westlake meeting, and I've been sober ever since. That was
Okay.
like years ago.
Right. So then how did that look? Like, I mean, did you immediately go? Did you go to your first 12-step meeting? And then, because for me, it was like I had this idea in my head that it was like, okay, it's a cult. That's what I thought. And then I get there, and then I'm like, traditions and steps, it for sure is a cult.
Yeah. Prayer at the end, holding hands in a circle.
Right? I'm like, what's going on here? No, but what I mean, with time, what I figured out is basically, all these steps and traditions. Traditions are kind of so, nobody messes with the whole group, and you have your anonymity or whatever if you want to. But then the 12 steps is basically to admit you're powerless and then to deal with your shit, basically, and then to pay it forward so you don't stay in self. And that's kind of the gist of it for me. And that's like that. It took me a while to do the math on what, the 12 steps was, but everything is basically based on that book, even like cognitive behavioral therapy and all that stuff. So what was it like for you? Did you get in and get a sponsor and do the steps right away, or what was your experience?
I mean, yeah, I absolutely did. The next day, Brent is my son's dad. He gave me a number to call. This girl who ended up being my first sponsor and sponsored me for a couple years. But I kind of hit the ground running. Like, she takes her sponsees through the steps fast, and that's what I needed. But I also feel really lucky because I had been so codependent my entire life. I mean, I was always in a relationship, and like whoever my partner's friends were, that was like my new bunch of friends.
Oh,
I've done a lot of work around this since then. But so in a sense, I kind of got lucky because he was 2 years sober, and so were all of his friends. They were established in AA. And so I kind of just got immediately immersed in like a solid friend group and into a fellowship of like who were doing the thing, And so I had this amazing support system around me pretty immediately.
Right. That is cool. I mean, that's kind of cool how that worked out, because that's not always the case.
Not always the case at all.
And well, I mean, a lot of people say, in recovery, it's people, places, and things. Because, some people go, oh, well, I'm just going to move and that's going to solve it, or people don't understand because they go back and they start hanging out with the same people. And then I'm like, oh, you relapsed? What a shock. You know what I mean? So it's just, there's a lot of truth to what you said and how you recovered, because when, you're surrounded by people that are successfully working a program, then you have a greater chance to succeed, or at least I think.
Well, and they were all, I mean, we did so many fun things. We were always fellowshipping, going to meetings, going out to eat afterwards, just early sobriety, where it's a blast. Like when you really surround yourself with some good people.
Sure. Well, and that's like another stigma that people automatically think, or we probably both thought at one point, is, oh, once I get sober, it's not going to be any fun. I'm not going to be fun. I'm going to lose my edge. I'm going to be boring, and life is going to suck. And I'm just like, yeah.
And I actually almost relapsed in a situation similar to that. I was 3 months sober, and I went out to 6th Street with some of the girls that I used to dance on the dance floor with. And the first season, they only knew like drinking, partying, crazy girl Alexis.
Sure.
The second season, I was sober. And so we went out, and, one of the girls, I'm not like tipsy. I'm not dancing on top of the bars. I'm not being wild. I'm just more reserved. I'm still navigating early sobriety and learning how to like live in my own body and still feel a part of. It was way too early to be going to 6th Street, to say the least.
It's baby deer syndrome is what I say, because you're new and you're like, you got the shaky legs because you're not used to operating sober.
Yeah, it's
because
weird feeling.
I mean, I had to go through that with DJing as well, because it was weird coming back like the first, I don't know, 6 months. Because I mean, look, they're not going to get rid of alcohol on my behalf, and B, too late for a career change for me. So, I'm going to do what I love. So somehow I'm going to have to make these two worlds work together. But it was definitely weird. And even now, it's still like, oh, yeah, it'd be nice to have, it'd be nice to have one. That, you still have that little devil standing on your shoulder because, you could have one, right? But then I just think back and what really helps me out is I'm like, okay, I had a fabulous drinking career for 30 years. So, what's 5 years? I mean, I did this for 35 years of drinking. So, why not at least give sobriety 5 years, or just a window of time. But then it's just like, once you have time away from it, you're like, okay, well, cool, positive and negative kind of thing, So.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I hear that a lot from artists too, that they're worried that they're going to lose their inspiration or their creativity when they get sober.
Yeah.
And most of the time, it's just the opposite.
Yeah, no, it's amazing how the productivity actually increases. And you actually get shit done. And then it also helps when you're actually paying attention to what other people are saying and you can comprehend that. That helps your career too, by the way.
Yeah.
So speaking of careers, so how does it graduate in from, baby deer sobriety to full on, I guess, employment? And you've been working in recovery for how long now?
My gosh, going on a decade.
Okay, yeah. So a career then.
So I got into the industry. So I was in Dallas when I went to Nexus for the year. I came back to Austin, and my first job back was working at a daycare.
Okay.
And I was like, what am I going to do?
You're like, they don't drink. That's good. I can go take care of kids.
Well, I ended up relapsing. But
Oh, okay.
they do drink.
Yeah.
But yeah. And my mom had told me about this program called Capital Idea. And at the time, I don't think I had gotten my job yet. And I was living like below poverty line. I mean, I was starting fresh. I had no money. I was in debt. Like I had nothing. And so Capital Idea is for people who are living below poverty line. You can apply. And basically you go through the application process and they essentially pay for school for you. And there's different careers that you can that they'll pay for. Like one of them was like a 911 operator, one of them was nursing. But during that process, they have you do a bunch of assessments to kind of to assess, your personality, your skills, and kind of see what would be a good career fit for who you are. And one of them that popped up was nursing.
Okay.
So they helped put me through school. And it was an incredible program. Like I didn't have Asher at the time, but if I had kids, they'd pay for childcare, they paid books, tuition. I mean, it's amazing. And they're still around. They do great work. I tell women and men all the time about it.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I forget because you work in recovery, but you also have a nursing degree. Right?
Well, I was a nurse. I've been a nurse in recovery for years.
Oh, okay.
Working in the treatment
facilities,
realm.
right?
Treatment facilities.
And did you do like kind of maybe like supervise detoxes and stuff like that, or how did that go? Medical detox?
A detox nurse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you? Oh, okay. That was you. Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
And actually, where I work
You
now,
were her.
I was her.
Right.
Where I work now, Infinite Recovery, I was a nurse at Infinite 8 years ago, and I was a baby nurse. I was only like 1 year into practicing nursing, and Michael Dadashi, the owner of Infinite, called me, and he was like, hey, I need nurses that understand my patient demographic, that can hold an empathetic space, that can help de-escalate, because he kept running into, it's hard. Like the demographic that we work with is hard. The people that don't understand
well,
the
especially if you don't understand it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's really easy not to have the empathetic space that you need to hold for your patients if you don't understand it or like not even willing to try to understand it.
Right.
And like, people have their reasons for everything. So you run into nurses who grew up with maybe alcoholic or addict parents who then that can be projected onto,
Their patients. Yeah.
their patients.
I
Yeah, so
gotcha.
he called me and I was like, okay, yeah, I'll try it. And I did it for 2.5 years. And then I was a baby nurse and, detox nursing, you don't use a lot of, like the med surg skills that you would use on like a higher acuity medical unit. And so I left and got a little bit more experience working in acute psych, med surg. I dabbled a little bit in the ER and then came full circle back to Infinite as an outreach specialist.
Okay. And so an outreach specialist, what does that actually entail?
So for me, each outreach specialist on our team has different accounts. So I work, because of my nursing background, a lot with like hospitals and provider groups. And I just go into the hospitals or primary care offices or family care offices, and I talk to them about, are you seeing this patient demographic? Where do you have resources for them? Do you need resources for them? And I basically just educate them on what we do. But essentially, if somebody sends me a client who's not a good fit for Infinite, like I'm going to get them placed in a program that's going to be a good fit for them.
Right.
So really, it's like a free. I consider myself a free community resource, and I help families and patients navigate.
Right.
To
Well, do you have like a work number and or email where somebody could reach out if they want to possibly get help? And is it just in the Austin area, or I guess you could be from any city?
Yeah,
really.
we get people all over the nation that come to treatment.
But what's the good contact for you as far as work?
My direct line.
Okay.
Do
do we want to give?
it?
Yeah, you can give it out.
Okay.
I mean, it's your work line, right? It's not. Yeah. Okay. It's not like a burner phone. Like I'm going to send you a text.
Those burner phone days are over.
Right.
It's 512-913-0614.
Okay. And that will ring your desk or your work
That's
phone.
my direct line, or they can email us at admissions@infiniterecovery.com.
Okay. Admissions@infiniterecovery.com. Okay. Cool. All right. And then, so how do you maintain like what your sobriety now? I mean, do you have any kind of thing, like, are you working an active program? Because I know, we had Chad on obviously earlier, and he is really immersed into the whole 12 step and has like 5 sponsees and is totally, into the program, where I'm like, I don't really, I'm still friends with a lot of people that are into the 12-step groups, but it's not like I'm going on a regular basis. But I do this show weekly, so that's kind of this is my version of my 12th step, basically. So my way to give back is by doing a show, because I'm a complete narcissist. No, just kidding. I'm kidding. I know. I just do this just so maybe somebody that looks up to me or whatever can relate to it and hopefully get help and see that it's okay. So, but how do you cultivate and maintain your sobriety, so to speak?
I'm still deeply involved in a 12-step program. I was at a meeting earlier today. So,
Oh, okay, cool.
yeah, I'm really still involved in the community. I think, the longer I've been sober, the harder it is to be consistent. That's definitely, life gets really big. So I would say that's definitely something I've struggled with.
So consistency as far as going to meetings, or what?
Just the whole thing, all aspects of the triangle. But like, I've also learned to really give myself a lot of grace throughout the years. I think in early sobriety, we can really put ourselves in a box. And if we barely step out, we experience shame and guilt, and like, that doesn't help anybody.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think for me, I also see a therapist, so
Okay.
I've been going to therapy pretty regularly for
Right.
a year
Well,
now.
and I think that's good, because I think, and I say that it's like not all unicorns and rainbows once you get sober. I mean,
Not at all.
there's still either a lot of shit you got from your past, or just moving forward with life. I mean, stuff happens. Like, I mean, I have people that pass away, like my mother or stepdad or anything like that. It's life on life's terms, so to speak. So I definitely think that active therapy is a good thing. And I think a lot of people, that's the reason for substance abuse, is because, like, of what you've said, is basically you didn't feel comfortable in your own skin, probably had some traumatic stuff, and you were hanging on to that, and you never really wanted to deal with that. So then guess what? A beer's going to make that go away, and a 12 pack's going to really make it go away. You know what I mean? So,
And the truth is that's just the human experience, period. Whether you're an addict or alcoholic or not,
Right.
we all search for whether it's a behavior or a substance or something to change the way that we feel and escape when we're not feeling well.
sure.
Shopping, relationships,
Right.
porn addiction, you name it.
I was going to say porn addiction, but Chad wasn't on. So
Oh. Well, we can call him out now because he's not
that's
on.
right. Shout out Spanky. I love it that I'll leave that in and I can bag on Chad while he's not here. Yeah, so, well, okay, so therapy is kind of one of the keys, and working an active program. And then do you have like any advice to give somebody I always say this. I always say that if you think there's a problem, chances are there is a problem. So, but then also, do you have any advice that you give for people thinking about, recovery or struggling with recovery, or?
Yeah. I mean, it happens, right? I struggle in my own recovery. I mean, and it's almost harder the longer you stay sober, in a sense, at times, because life kind of piles on and you have all these, past experiences and traumas that you've had to walk through. And for me, I always go back. I mean, it sounds so simple, but back to the basics, back to what worked for me day one. And I veer from my path all the time, and not being so self-critical. I mean, I definitely can get there, but I really try not to be so self-critical. And in that moment when there's a crossroad that I have to face, I just go back to the path that got me there in the first place.
Right. Well, and I also just, you said, like, to not take it so serious, because I mean, I want to, once I'm done with this existence, I want to be able to go beyond and then just go, oh, that was fun. Let's do that again.
Yeah.
And then it's like I want to enjoy my life, and I'm not here to have a bad time and to be stressed out and all that stuff. But it's so easy, like, especially this was one of the key things for me. It's like I quit trying to control my own narrative. You know what I mean? I kept like future tripping and all that stuff. And it's not like I don't do anything now. It's just like I still do what I love and what I think I'm supposed to be doing. I do that, but then I don't sit there and try to micromanage and go, it has to be this way. Oh, this is how it's going to happen. I mean, because there's always that surprise element, and you never know what the universe has out there for you. But then if you think that, like, the universe has got your back and they're looking out for you, then it's like so much easier.
Yeah. And you made a good point. I mean, life is meant to be lived. Like, I got sober to live.
Yeah.
And I catch myself. I mean, and I'm so guilty of this, is getting so career focused or just bogging my schedule from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to sleep, and I forget to live life. And something that a pastor said one time in church that like resonated with me is like, you want God so bad, but you don't have any time for him. And I was like, that hit home.
Wow.
Because it's like, how can you invite God into your day when you're so stressed and you're so busy and you're so this, and you don't even have enough time to be kind to the person, and I don't know. I'm like thinking my personal.
No. You're making
at the
sense.
gym and like say hi for 5 minutes, and connect with people. You just don't have time for any of it because I have like put myself in those situations many times, and I find that it's like I'm achieving things. I'm like doing all these cool things in life, but I don't get to enjoy any of them when I do that.
I love, there's a quote, like I saw like a little Willie Nelson short, and Willie, because you're from Austin, but like how he said that he goes, there's nothing you can do about the past. So, it's, and worrying about it is not going to serve you any good, because there's nothing you can do about it. And he goes, and the future you can't control either. But he goes, but I got a pretty good grip on what's happening right now. And if I can just stay there, because he goes, if you let, like your past trauma and all that stuff eat you up, that it's like a cancer. And it is, because it'll just go, oh, okay, cool. We're going to park that negative energy here and have a party. And, it's just like you can't, you have to, bad shit happens to everybody. So and some worse than others. Yeah.
Yeah.
And some people bring it onto themselves. Some people have it done to them, but it's just, okay, it happened. Now process and move on, I don't know. It's easier said than done, but still you'll do yourself a big favor, by not hanging on to that.
Yeah. And I would say the last piece of advice I would say is do things that make you extremely uncomfortable. Or things that are.
I love that. So give me an example of what you've done.
Coming on the podcast.
Okay. All right.
Like every time I've done a handful of podcasts, but every time, like public speaking for me is even in AA even in meetings, 12 years later, I still get nervous to share. It's something that I'm like fully convinced it'll never go away.
You and I are alike, exactly alike, because I cannot stand, even though now, like I did this to challenge myself because I hated talking. But once you do it and you make yourself do it, you do it, then you just get comfortable and it becomes second nature. But I still suck at a meeting. If I stood up to talk, and I start, just my head explodes instantaneously. But it's still one of those things that I'm trying to work on personally, because I'm challenging myself, kind of like you were talking about. So
yeah, and it gives you for me, it gave me an opportunity to put my faith in God a little bit more. I sat down and did some 10 minutes of meditation, just talked to God. And, I probably wouldn't have done that if I wouldn't have agreed to come on your show.
Right.
I probably would have just been working away on my computer, but that was an opportunity for me to like trust my higher power and do something that makes me uncomfortable. And here I am, and I'm totally fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hey, you made it.
I made it.
Right. Well, I like that. That's good advice. And then anything else, or was that pretty much it?
That's pretty much it for now.
Yeah, that's all you got. That's all the knowledge you can drop today. Yeah, but I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, that was fun. I had no idea what to expect.
Yeah,
go back and watch those episodes.
well, if you watched an episode, no,
but
I get it, podcast. Right? But yeah, so yeah. Other than that, now, so is your current boyfriend in recovery as well? Or he works in recovery, right?
Yes.
Do we want to shout him out? Can we?
Yeah, we'll shout out Scott Brunst.
Oh, there we go. And Chad would call him Brunswick.
Yes.
It's a small world. Because it was funny because I sent you a text, or I called you, and I sent you a text, and then Chad goes, did you just text, or blah, blah, blah? And I was like, yeah. I was like, Jesus, this is a small world.
It is, especially the recovery world is so small.
Oh, yeah. It's funny.
Everyone knows everyone. But yeah, right. Scott owns his own consulting business. He does interventions and coaching.
Oh, does he? Cool. So nice.
Pretty incredible.
Well, shout out Scott, and we'll have to have Scott on. Actually,
you have to. His story is wild.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, you have to have him on.
I will have him on, and then I will have Chad
He's
on
a miracle. That's for sure.
because he knows. Well, Chad's a miracle too, man. I mean, that guy was Chad was like shooting up. He had a port into his heart. He had endocarditis but still calling his plug and directly mainlining heroin into his heart.
I've heard
Like a
people doing
champ.
that.
Like a
wild.
champ. Yeah. So
Was
that's
he in
funny.
like a skilled nursing facility?
Uh-huh. Oh yeah,
He
yeah,
was?
yeah. He was.
'Cause at
He
that
was.
point,
Yeah, he was at, and then eventually they chained him to the bed. Eventually, he got handcuffed to the bed.
Chad.
Yeah, he was. I say he went hard in the paint.
The hardest. in
The
paint.
hard. It would definitely probably top 5.
He's a
Chad's-
top tier drug
Yeah,
addict.
he's an overachiever for sure. But yeah, we'll definitely have to have your boyfriend on. And then again, where do you work if you want to give them a shout out and how to get a hold of you?
I work at Infinite Recovery. We are a family-owned and local treatment facility in Austin, Texas. You can reach me directly at 512-913-0614, and I will help you get in.
Yeah. If you have any questions,
resources, or if you just
Right.
need a sober woman to talk to,
there we go.
to connect with, I'm more than happy to do that too.
Okay. I love it. And congrats on the upcoming 12 years. That's
Thank
huge.
you.
That's big. Are you? So it's funny. I'm like the guy that buys himself a chip on eBay.
Do you?
I get my like little fancy chips. So, but you probably actually get them at meetings.
Wow, I do. He's got so sweet. He put together a little get together. So we're gonna go get a group of us are gonna go get my chip, and then we're gonna go eat at this cool place called Cosmic Saltillo in Austin, and go out two-stepping afterwards. So
Nice. Well, that sounds fun.
Celebration planned.
That's cool, man. And you should celebrate that because that's huge and that's a huge accomplishment. And you know that, and your family knows that. Right?
Yeah, they do.
By the way, so I guess you and your mom are best friends now, huh?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, right?
he's
I love it.
the ride or die one for sure.
Cool. Well, thanks again for coming on. And then be sure, subscribe, all that stuff to the podcast. And remember, kids, there is no magic pill for sobriety because if there was, we would all take too many.